shopping cart.
Thank you.
Nice.
It was actually not too.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back, Mighty Vandals, the Tubs at the Club, the Vandals affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dallas Hammer, joined today by brave, bold, beautifully laughing Brian Marceau.
No, we all have like different tech shit going on. So my favorite show starts or when I can't tell if there's like a gap in someone's internet and I'm waiting for someone to talk and like viewers are and nothing happens. And that just happened today. So doing great, dude. Finished my third semester out of 4 of nursing school today. So I officially am getting to cruise into break. Pretty much when we kind of hit our short winter break, around Christmas-ish time, but good to be here, dude.
And as always, the brick wall himself, producer redacted, Marten Heemstra. Marten, down 153.9 pounds. Congrats, dude. That is a fucking huge-ass number.
Yeah, it's good to be back on again for a second week. Another good week for the women's basketball team, which I know we'll talk about a little later today. But another week back on the show.
Guys, no new announcements with the coaching staff. We are, again, getting ever so closer to finding out who will be the next Vandals offensive coordinator, as then the position coaches will fill in beyond that. Brian, any update for us there before we just jump right forward?
Nothing other than to say, like, I know it's multiple steps worth of interviews. It's taken a minute. This is my understanding of the process. The process is to essentially be like, hey, like, how do we get Matt Linehan do the goddamn opposite and wind up with the goddamn opposite too? So,
yep. Matt Linehan was the first coach announced under Thomas Ford's regime, very quickly announced as the offensive coordinator. This time, things seem to be going much slower.
Ford has not agreed to mutually depart with the search process at this time.
There it is, guys. Our first mutually parted joke. Let's see how many times we can run this into the ground. Gentlemen, we've got obviously some basketball news to get to, but football first. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, guys. If you're listening to us live Tuesday, December 9th, as we're recording this, this is going to be breaking news to you. If you're listening to this later on podcast services across the globe, maybe you've already heard about this, but multiple contributing Vandals into the transfer portal today. Will Cornelson, linebacker, junior college transfer, is the first member of the team that played some truly significant snaps to show up and head off to the portal. And then Priest River's own Matthias McLean has also announced he will be heading to the portal on January 2nd with 2 years of eligibility left. So, gentlemen, I'll start with Martin. Thoughts? We've had our first 2 key contributors of the defense disappear for 2025.
It sucks, but it's almost kind of like I also kind of, with the past few years have gone, I've just kind of expected, okay, there's going to be some contributors now, and it's not it sucks, but I'm like sad for a minute, and I'm like, okay, now let's just wish we could get some newer people in now, but gotta wait till the portal opens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the FCS rhythm. Is first it sucks, then it gets better. And with just one portal window, it's going to at least be truncated time-wise compared to the last couple of years. As far as the dearly departed, you could say some more mutually departed, as I would say. McLean is the first loss in a big sense. No put down to the other guys. Cornelson did, he played some meaningful snaps as well. So, if in a perfect world, it would be great to have Cornelson back. But McLean is the guy so far, to me, you'd say hurts the most. One, he's an Idaho kid. But two, honestly, he was honorable mention, all Big Sky, had a very good case to be above honorable mention. And that's as a sophomore. So, if Idaho could have gotten a couple more years of development, it would make sense that, he could probably do a little bit better, especially if he had some stronger teammates for the next couple of years. Not a put down to the guys who were on the team, but we've belabored this. Pass rush for Idaho was pretty weak until the last couple of weeks of the season. So, hurts to lose the last contributor there, but that just means the D line they're going to have to go to the portal for sure. No way you can rely on freshmen for that. And the defensive line will definitively be one of the groups that when we preview next year, our answer is going to be, I don't know, guys. Like, everyone's new. I don't know how they look like. We know what they look like in practice, but I think we have definitively learned to extrapolate only so much when things are new. So I don't know, fingers crossed. But a team is 4-8, and there are very few irreplaceable parts from a team that finishes 4-8. So best of luck to both the guys. I expect McLean's going to get paid somewhere. But from here on, the question is who stays and who's coming.
It's unfortunate. I think the Will Cornelson one is maybe not a little bit of a shock, but also not terribly shocking. Dylan Lane, Isaiah King, and Cruz Hepburn all played significantly more snaps and more minutes than Cornelson did. Obviously, Isaiah King losing him to graduation, but all signs right now that Dylan Lane and Cruz Hepburn will be back. Would have made sense for Will Cornelson to be able to slip in as that third starting linebacker, but very, very, very big drop off from those 3 guys that really didn't leave the field all that frequently, down to Cornelson, who did have 31 tackles, had a couple of tackles for loss, a couple sacks, had decent numbers. Is a guy that I think can be replaced a little bit easier. We've had this happen for years now. Favai graduates, and it's, what are we going to do? And Paulo Moala comes in from the transfer portal after being injured for years and years, ends up being an all-conference caliber player. He leaves. What are we going to do? X3 Alexander comes in. What are we going to do? Jackson X takes a step up. What are we going to do? Dylan Lane takes a step up. Like, this is typically what happens at the linebacker position. Matthias McLean, that is the one that hurts. Now, the guy obviously had a great year, 42 tackles this year, 13 and a half tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, better numbers than, he was honorable mention, all Big Sky, better numbers than certainly both of the guys on the second team. Kind of got jobbed there. If Idaho had more than 4 wins, probably would have ended up higher on that all Big Sky list. But I look at it as two different things. Matthias McLean is exactly what I want to see this program doing. He's a guy that was here for 3 years, put up some good numbers, and obviously has a pretty good shot in the transfer portal to go above and beyond Idaho. Whether that's, I'm not saying he's going to go run into an SEC school and be a starting defensive lineman there, but you'd think Group of 5 should have a bunch of offers. Maybe some of the lower tier P4 teams should hopefully work out really well for him. It's a bummer that he didn't stick around, especially because I think one more year, maybe he does get some extra help, like Brian said. Maybe that 4.5 sacks is 8 or even 9 or 10, and then you are getting one massive, incredible offer to go make a bunch of money and try to get into the NFL in your final college season. But as far as the outlook of Idaho as a whole and FCS as a whole, having a guy here for 3 years, having him put in some good time, be a solid contributor in year 2, a top end starter in year 3, and then move on for his final 2 years. You can't ask for much more in the days of the transfer portal when we've seen so many guys come in here and won and done it and move on to bigger and better. McLean, obviously an Idaho kid, but man, I wish him the best. Thanks for the time. And man, hopefully we can find a way to replace him next year, because this was a pretty uninspiring defensive line and front 7, unfortunately, as it came to getting to the passer, and Matthias was head and shoulders above what was there. So going to be looking for the transfer portal to fill in those defensive line numbers, guys.
Well, that is I don't have anything else to add there other than, I mean, we all know this. Just don't lose your shit when a few guys leave. We undoubtedly will have more guys. Not spoiling anyone's announcements, but I would be floored if in the wideout room we don't have a couple transfers as well. But a team finishes 4-8. Everyone on that list other than McLean so far, I would say Ford. I don't know this. I'm just assuming right now. Every guy but McLean, I think Ford would look at and say, honestly, a roll of the dice in the transfer portal is probably worth more for the roster right now, because the only home run you lose, or let me say it different. Everyone other than McLean, if we replace them with a person who produced at the same level, we would probably say that transfer was sort of a bust. So that means right now we got 5-ish spots that Idaho is probably going to look to upgrade via transfer. Again, just sit tight.
And Mark Trevelpiece in the comment section, there's no way we got the kids we did on signing day without the staff talking about this being a stepping stone. Not to turn this into a 45-minute show where we just relitigate signing day here, but I'm on the same page with Mark. I think you look at this job and you look at especially what Thomas Ford has done in his previous years as an Idaho assistant. You tell kids, hey, you come here, you've got a shot to get some serious playing time in your first 2 years, and then you go get a payday elsewhere. And obviously, yeah, I'd love for some of these guys, like you talked about Kingston Kirchhoff and Kenny Golston last week. I'd love for those guys to turn into 4-year Vandals that absolutely explode off the page and go down in the annals of Vandal history. But man, when you're looking at a guy who had offers from a bunch of Power 4 schools, to play on the other side of the ball, not play running back. How do you get a guy like that to come here? You get him to play the position he wants, and you promise him, hey, we'll develop you, we'll grow you, you'll leave. Taylor Cash in the comment section, Choate in Nevada had a similar sentiment. Yeah, he talked. I saw that Jeff Choate, the Nevada head coach, spoke about getting guys that. Yeah, you could go show up at Oregon, get paid $50,000, maybe even $250,000, and you're not going to see the field. If you come to Nevada, where they're going to teach you up, you're going to get a bunch of playing time. After those 2 years, you're going to go get over $1 million to go be at a Power 4 school, at an SEC school, doing doing what all these guys or most of what these guys dream about, playing with the big names under the lights, trying to get that NFL payday. So,
which is the situation for every non-P4 school.
Mm-hmm. So having a coach that is apparently doing a pretty good job of, again, bringing in recruits, that you got to do so much more than just that. But man, a very good start for the first full off season of the Thomas Ford era.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we've said we're going to talk about essentially a few recruits each week. Which my hot take is it's way easier to just talk about a couple, try to remember them instead of give you a data dump of 19. We have a few freshmen to talk about who, I think are guys to pay attention to come. I don't know if they'll be on campus during spring, but come spring or come, fall camp, guys who legitimately look like they have a chance to compete for a starting spot. But before that, we have something good old reliable to get. God damn it, Martin. Nice goddamn duster background. Dallas, you know what the hell you're doing. Take it away.
If you are looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, don't look past your backyard. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal owned and operated since 1976, and they're ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the middle fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of no return, the Salmon River Canyons, or even the Selway. You could even check out special trips like one to see the Perced meteor shower. You could even check out Brian's pristine beaches. You could run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot the wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, or guys, the same exact thing I've been saying almost every show for years now. Fish the most remote stretches of river in the entire United States. All you got to do is just bring your clothes, and HRE will handle everything else. Grab a paddle, catch dinner, ride the bull, all throughout the Gem State. Call them now, 406-540-4450, or check them out at hughesriver.com. Yeah, Crewhead 76 is the last one thing I wanted to say. Hope McLean doesn't end up being McCoy. Good luck, young man. Man, that's, I hope Matthias is getting good information from his agent or whoever is assisting him in this process. I think what we saw from Matthias McLean, yeah, that guy can go be a contributor somewhere. But, the early days of the transfer portal, we saw Giovanni McCoy win an award here as a Vandal, went chasing the FBS paycheck and, got a handful of games at Oregon State, lost his job, didn't play college football again. So hopefully we don't see that happen too much with the Vandals. I think that will also help the transfer portal not taketh away as much as it has in the last few years, but being a 4-win team will certainly help with that as well, Brian.
Well, NAU's head coach Brian Wright in a press conference today said NAU plus the Big Sky did their own kind of study of when dudes transfer away from the Big Sky, how does it go? The number they landed on was 14% move up and play at a level comparable or above what they were getting snaps wise in the Big Sky. So that's an 86% failure rate. I do think that at some point that's going to lead to a little bit of a slowdown, but until we're there, we're not. And, for the guys who leave Idaho, if it doesn't hurt anyone if they're going to leave anyway for it to work out. I mean, you can look at guys like Jordan Dwyer doing well at TCU. Hell, even like when coaches leave, you look at Rob Orich getting the DC at Nebraska. When people move on from Idaho and do well, like they just become part of the future sales pitch, which Mark Chovalpiece was probably getting at when he referenced the guys Ford's recruiting. But I don't know, like it is a weird time. I guess my armor here is I'm just used to it. So I try to go all in while people are here. But then when people leave, like, I don't know, like they're done. Thank you for your time. I'm officially no longer spending time on you. But the people we are spending time on we have some freshmen to talk about. Martin, I want to turn it over to you. We have 3 guys we want to highlight today. All guys in my mind are people who will be competing to get some reps this coming season. Producer Redacted, take it away.
Yeah, so one I'm going to talk about is Jace Winchester. He originally was committed to, I believe, was Colorado State, I believe it was, and then decommitted. I don't want to say flipped because he decommitted first, but decommitted from Colorado State after they fired their head coach. Now is obviously committed and signed to Idaho. In the highlight videos you're seeing on screen right now is playing left tackle, I believe. Not left tackle, right tackle, I believe right now. So he's maybe not one you see right away, but I know we've seen a couple like he just pushed to look like a I don't even know what that is, like a small sapling tree at defensive line, it looked like, but dude can move people. I think I also saw he's a state winner. I don't remember what level he is at in Colorado, but he's one to look out. Just another like as I've said on like if people know on the show, I'm a big offensive line lover, and he's one to hopefully we'll see in the future come play in the dome here.
Yeah, we've seen pretty regularly. I mean, this kind of dates back to Jason next time, but having a freshman starter on the O line is pretty normal, and it works out fine, especially if the depth you have is overwhelmingly upperclassmen coming back, which at this point, that is the situation for Idaho. So, Jace Winchester and Kingston Kirchhoff, who we talked about last week, I feel like those are the two guys whose pedigree and at least, going off of the offers available to them, you already referenced, Winchester had committed to Colorado State. That's, of course, a Mountain West school. Obviously, that's, a level above where Idaho's at.
Oh, Brian, it's a Pac-12 school. Don't forget that.
Jesus Christ. You're right. Pac-12, a.k.a. as Nick Weber and Dallas refer to it, Mountain West Division 1A. But that's a step above Idaho. So both those guys you have to pencil in as guys who have a chance to play. Dallas, anything you want to add on Winchester?
The other thing I want to add before Dallas cut you off there, like the other thing I want to mention, he also had offers from Army, Navy, like a few Ivy League schools, and Montana State as well. So it's they Idaho beat and South Dakota, another good Missouri Valley Football Conference school as well. So Idaho beat out some pretty good FCS schools to land Jace's services for the next little bit of time.
Well, yeah, and 4 Pac-12 / Mountain West schools too. Like Wyoming, Nevada, Fresno State, and of course Colorado State, as already referenced. So 6'3", 290. His reputation sort of precedes itself, right? So to me, that has to be a guy that is at least on paper competing for a starting spot, of course, depending on where he gets slotted in, or potential depth piece, who might be a contributing second string player, kind of like Nathan Knapik was pretty early in his Vandal career. The guy I want to talk about is
very quickly. I just wanted to just briefly mention, for what it's worth, 24/7 has Jace Winchester listed as an interior offensive lineman. So I don't know if that's projection on their end, if Idaho offered him specifically as an interior lineman, but with Nate as a party being gone, this is the new highest recruit of the interior line.
Thank you, Dallas. The guy I want to talk about is J.J. Homuth. He is a tight end, and one, Idaho lost Jake Cox. So, hey, there's one potential contributor gone. 2, there's another reason I think you should pencil in J.J. Homuth as competing to start. And that's because this guy is absolutely not an 18 or 19-year-old freshman. On October 21st, from his own account, J.J. Homuth tweeted out, December grad, 2 years of eligibility remain, could have 3 with a waiver, because Homuth is a junior college transfer coming from Rochester Community and Technical College. Now, this dude had offers.
Before to add that, he was before that, I believe, was Norfolk State as a wide receiver.
Yeah, so he's played a little bit, but through that waiver process, our man, Mr. Homuth, is a redshirt freshman. So he's a redshirt freshman who is in shape from playing, who is essentially like a Mormon style freshman, where he's 2 years older than his the other freshman signees. Now, other reason why I think we're going to be looking at Homuth as a contributor is he was pretty damn highly rated. He was the number 3 rated tight end in junior college nationally from multiple entities. Led the nation, at least around the close of the season, in receiving yards and touchdown catches for a tight end. The size he's got is pretty damn good. 6'7", 230, as Marten referenced. May have actually started his college career as a receiver. And the offers he had are pretty compelling. I mean, he had a late in the game offer from Syracuse. It looked like it might upset his ride to Moscow. But he also had offers from Albany, Central Arkansas, Miami, Morgan State, SAC with a silent K State, and Western Illinois. So we've talked for ever since Eck was here and Ford too. There's always been hope on our end that there would be, a tight end who would emerge as a reliable pass catcher. That has not yet happened. Gabe Hoffman was a dude last season we were very hopeful for. Obviously, that did not, no put down to Hoffman, but like he didn't materialize as like a regular pass catcher in 2025. So Hoffman's still on the team until further notice, but we have another transfer who looks like they're going to be competing for either a starting spot or, and in addition to that, maybe a shot to get a few more tight end reps here. On the screen, you can see we have Home and Safe running on the screen right now. Marten or Dallas, any thoughts?
I really hope that we finally see the tight end breakout. We've talked about like a guy like Chance Bogan for a very long time, and Bogan ended up getting a handful of catches there towards the back half of the year, and was really starting to come on a little bit as that pass catching tight end. But man, for an offense that we expected to see a ton of tight end usage with when Eck had 10 tight ends on the roster, it just has not been a position of importance in the 3 years under Eck or the first year of Ford/Linehan. So really hope to see that change. And when you bring in a JUCO guy like this, that it had offers elsewhere, you hope that means, man, you're going to start seeing that tight end be used as a matchup that hopefully wins more often than not.
Yeah, and I think we can safely say, as far as the pass catchers, that if there is one group of players from 2024 that I wouldn't be floored for a complete reshuffle, which that includes transfers in, transfers out, plus like a change in hierarchy, it is the wideouts plus pass catching tight ends, because that's a group that absolutely was not lighting the world on fire for Idaho in 2025. So just the fact of potentially having raw talent that other schools saw raw talent in, that itself is phase one of what Idaho needs out of its pass catchers. Fingers crossed that's the case with Helmuth.
Marten, any thoughts on Helmuth before I jump in?
No, I'm excited to see what they can do. Hopefully, try and get with someone his size, which I don't think they've had someone like this since, dare I say, like Deion Watson, when he was kind of considered a tight end for Idaho back in the ye old days, Dallas and Brian.
Man. Oh yeah. No, I mean a tight end at 6'7" is impressive. Idaho, the two highest recruits Idaho's ever had at tight end are currently on this team right now. Chance Bogan and Wiley Donnerberg in the top 15 Vandal prospects ever from 24/7. Both of those guys were 6'4", and again, I think of a 6'4" tight end as being a pretty big guy. But man, you talk about you're lining up a 6'7" tight end in the Big Sky. That feels, as long as he doesn't have sticks of butter for hands, that feels like a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams in this conference.
Yeah, Gabe Hoffman's listed at 6'6", 250. And then, Helmuth's playing, that's 6'7", 230. Those are two very big targets. Now, of course, we saw Hoffman for a year, and he was not a game changer in the receiving room. We know to not flip out too much about guys before they get here. But, for me, I guess what I pay attention to with new recruits, transfers, Dallas, is I'm trying to file first off who is potentially going to play next year and who does not really have a prayer. Because if you're not going to have a prayer. I'm happier on the team, but I'm probably not going to be invested too much in wondering how things shake out. The guys we've talked about so far, when I show up for spring ball practice and then when we can for fall practice, these are guys who, if they're in the first, working with the first, second team, I will be 0% surprised.
Yep, absolutely. Which kind of takes us to the third and final of the prospects we wanted to talk about today. Tao Mareko. And Tao, if you happen to be listening to this, please let us know how to pronounce your name, because I'm not even going to attempt your full name, and I probably got your last name wrong. But Tao is a linebacker. The reason we're bringing him up is because obviously Idaho has just lost a linebacker to the transfer portal as well as a linebacker to graduation. So he is 6'1", 215. You can watch him on the screen here. Guy flies all around. Tom Kendall 92 in the comment section. I like this linebacker, man. When you watch these highlights, this is just taken from his huddle tape. I highly recommend going and watching the 3 minutes of it. This is like your prototypical middle linebacker, just running all up and down the field. Does a great job. Obviously it's highlights, so it's all going to be positive plays, but does a really great job of filling the gaps in the run game and just blowing plays up before they begin, but then seems to be pretty solid in coverage as well as a pretty good athlete. So he's actually in Idaho's top 20 recruits of all time. Now Thomas Ford did help buffer those numbers here with this class, this being the greatest class on paper that Idaho's ever signed. But Tao had offers from Nevada, Boise State, Hawaii, and Washington. I believe there was another team in there that I didn't commit to memory, but ended up picking Idaho over a Pac-12 / Big Ten school. It will take me forever to get UW in as a Big Ten school, but again, picked some pretty big, had some pretty big schools on the offer list. Picked Idaho. Did have an offer from NAU at this level as well, but choosing to stick close to home, go to Idaho, probably on that Exree Alexander type of path of come in, try to get some play early, and then move on and be somewhere else after a few years, which has worked out very well for Exree Alexander at the same linebacking position.
Yeah, I'm going to co-sign all that and just bring up that linebacker is another position where you can't have 3 starting freshmen, but Idaho has gotten by just fine the last few years with a freshman contributor at linebacker. So, just another one of those positions. I mean, that's a description that probably matches most position groups, where so long as the entire group isn't underclassmen, you can be fine having a freshman who's starting. If you are not Montana State during the Brent Vegan era in the Big Sky, then like you're probably looking at younger guys to at least like help fill out the 2 deep for sure. Virtually everyone else is going to have to deal transfers. Montana right now, they're in the quarterfinals with completely turned over 2 deep from 2024 to 2025. It's just kind of the world we're in right now, Dallas, we are going to have some young dudes, but precocious young dudes can still make all Big Sky teams and matter. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yep, exactly. And it's going to be a total crapshoot on which of these freshmen are going to pop and which ones are going to, take some time to season. We've done this for a couple of years now, talked about guys that we thought would have some impact. And Brian, you and I were both pretty set on how, man, Roshan Johnson is the running back this year. He's been an all Big Sky caliber guy. He's got this room on lockdown. And then Tony Trees popped out of nowhere as the best guy in that group from about the second day of fall camp. So we'll see what happens. We're obviously talking about guys that aren't going to be stepping onto the program in an official non-spring category for 8 months, but 8 months from now, and certainly could see some of these guys, especially when we know linebacking core has some spaces to fill. Pass catchers certainly have some spaces to fill.
And I think that's probably where we should stop here. We've talked about, I think, 6 guys out of the 19. So we will still have freshmen coming in to talk about for quite some time. By the time we finish those, we're probably going to have our transfers to talk about. So, just keep your eyes open. And as we all know, between now and February, Dallas, we're going to lose guys, but then guys are going to come in. And that's just the nature of it. I don't know what to say at this point other than deal with it, because it's been going on for a while. This is definitely not news.
Yep. Very last comment I just wanted to hit. Crewhead 76 in the comments. Hopefully he's smarter than X was and just moves to UW after 2 years here instead of moving twice. Again, I'm really hoping, going back to the start of this show, I'm hoping that's what Idaho and Thomas Ford are kind of pitching to guys. And it seems like the smarter schools in the FCS are starting to pick up on that. Like, hey, if we're not North Dakota State, who obviously is not going to win the national title this year, but if we're not North Dakota State expecting to win the national title with our groups of seniors, how do we compete? you bring young guys in, you give them chances, and then you tell them, hey, you move on elsewhere, and this just becomes kind of a farm ground. But that farm ground is a really good way to launch this program into being pretty successful most of the time. So, gentlemen, we got another sponsor to get to. Brian, you have been doing a great job of making fun of me for my love of this fanny pack. So I'm going to let you take the wheel and continue to poke fun of me.
That would have been great to know so that I could have my govandals.com, vandalgear.com URL open. But if you look, it's Christmas season. If you are looking not just for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, but for Vandal gear for yourself or that Vandal in your life, go to vandalgear.com, man. Like Jeff has put together a second to none catalog of Vandal shirts, apparels, the ones that I kind of have my eye on, assuming Producer Redacted gets to the catalog. Look, the Fine Tater stuff, we know that's going to come back. If you don't have one, you have a shirt for that. You should have by now. The Education Day shirt designed by Ken Moscow. I don't know who the hell designed it, but I like it. That's available only at vandalgear.com. You got your amalgamated sugar inspired Kibby Dome shirt too. If you're looking for a Christmas ugly sweater, Jeff's got you taken care of there. If you are, for some reason, Dallas, looking for a fanny pack, but also, what if you were looking for a fanny pack that can match your socks, that can match your coffee mug, all Vandal themed? Well, you can do that at vandalgear.com. And if you are a local business, org, or school, anyone who wants to have a logo on something, Jeff can do this for you too. The company is Pacific Custom Sportswear, and Jeff can put your logo or help you make a logo and put it on absolutely anything. Clothes, t-shirts, socks, fanny packs, whatever. Jeff can do it. So
we've got multiple people in the comments. Sam Dane, these guys are making t-shirts for my buddy's 40th birthday, and our beloved Nick Weber. Jeff does our Bovo Run shirts every year. Fantastic work.
Yep. Vandalgear.com. Get a hold of Jeff.
Gentlemen, it's time for a different kind of ball. Round ball. That's the transition. I got nothing.
Yeah, Martin's up. We have some women's basketball news to talk about. So both the men and the women had the Big Sky Summit Challenge. And
which
look,
the Big Sky won.
Yeah, Big Sky won. Vandals, as a whole, Vandals mostly did their part.
Mm-hmm. So I believe last time we talked off, I think last game we talked about was the Oral Roberts sucks 3-point loss to Oral Roberts, but they came back and were really dominant against the 3-6 Denver team. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. They were not that good today. Coach Barrera was playing a lot of bench players. Like when they were up 10 points, that's when I kind of knew, okay, this is going to be an easy game for Idaho. The game I thought was never really in doubt for Idaho. Hope Hassman had kind of she had 14 points in this game, but it didn't really seem like she did much at all. She was kind of overshadowed by Kiara Gardner, who I thought was a super casual double, 16 points, 12 rebounds, and just really took over for Idaho with Hope not playing well. The other thing I should mention this game, Deb Dos Santos did not play at all. I know she took a pretty nasty head knock in the Oral Roberts game and was sat out this game. But from what it sounds like, she should be back pretty soon. So I'm not too worried about that. Nothing serious from her injury time at San Francisco. Overall, it was kind of it was a great, well-rounded game by Idaho. A little slow at first, just because they kind of Denver plays that, as I'm going to call it from here on out, the carry Amy kind of slow it down and try and use up the whole shot clock. But Idaho pretty much controlled this game from start to finish and didn't really let off the gas at all this one.
Yeah, we don't have that much to talk about. I guess I do want to add, just talking about the women's team. When Dos Santos is back, we covered it last week. Her per minute numbers have just been off the charts. But she's playing her way back into shape. Fingers crossed when she's back, because it's a head injury that she's sitting out for right now. Fingers crossed that once we get to conference play, she can be at around 25 minutes a night. Because if Idaho can get Dos Santos 25 minutes a night, that's going to wreck the shit out of a ton of the Big Sky. On Dallas, anything you want to add for shifting over?
Man, I hope Art Moreira is going to be here for a long time. We don't bring it up a ton because we don't litigate the negative stuff unless we have to. But man, to go from hiring a coach and never getting her to sign the contract so she leaves after a year, to then seeing what Art Moreira has done with this squad, and this is a top team in the Big Sky, and honestly one of the best Vandal women's teams that we've had in a very long time, and it is pretty outstanding to see what Moreira has done in his 2 years here.
Their style is fun as hell too, man. They're averaging 84.9 on the season. That's the 16th highest scoring team in the nation. So like, if you haven't watched a game, check them out. And if you're just a person who isn't into women's basketball, but you want to give it a chance, if there's a single team that's going to sell you on it, it is this year's University of Idaho team. Mm-hmm. So Nick Weber, Amy treating Idaho like a situationship ended up working out really well for us. So Idaho face planted into this, and I don't care what the route was. I am absolutely happy where Idaho sits.
What helps is Arthur loves Moscow, and I don't think he knows this, but I've seen him like show some of the teams at the farmers market. It's like you can tell he really loves this place a ton.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, the update I have for the men's team, because there's also only been one men's game since we recorded last Thursday. Idaho overall went, on the men's side, went 2-0 in their Big Sky Summit League Challenge, beat the shit out of North Dakota last week, 90-58. And in a more of a nail biter, Idaho picking up a W at South Dakota State. That's actually a pretty big out of conference win for Idaho. I don't know how good South Dakota State is going to be on the season. They're 500-ish overall, but that's a team that has relatively regularly made the NCAA tournament out of the Summit League. So that type of win on the road, it's a team that doesn't really lose. South Dakota State's team.
It's their first home loss. I want to say in like 3 or 4 years out of conference win. It rarely happens.
Yeah, no, that was a big win for Idaho. This Vandals team, they sit at 6-3 on the Big Sky season, on the conference, on the total season, and that means 4-3 in Division I play. It's still hard to know exactly what to make out of them, because I feel like this team does not have a definitive star, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Each year under Alex Pribble, Idaho's looks like they're taking a step forward. And, I talked last week how Idaho's still playing solid, but they weren't getting much out of their guards, or the play out of their guards was really not efficient at all in a way that was holding Idaho back a little bit. That was not the case against South Dakota State. Colton Mitchell busted out of a slump to pick up 22 points, going 5 of 13 from the field, including 4 of 9 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. And then Jack Payne, the team's leading scorer last year, who he's averaging just around 8 so far this season, which that's not necessarily a bad thing overall for Idaho. That Payne averaged just under 11 last year. He's at just over 8 this year. That's essentially he's scoring 1 bucket less per game. We have other guys who are stepping up, but for this team to be good, when I say they don't have like a definitive star, that means each game they just need to have about 3-ish of their top 5 guys play well, and then just not have offers from the other 2 out of their top 5, and that's how this team is gonna win. Absolute, to me, no, they should be winning more games than they lose this year. But in addition to Colton Mitchell out in a big game against South Dakota State, Jackson Rasmussen, he has to me been the most steady player on this team this season. True freshman. He scored 15 points on 5 of 10 from the field, picked up 4 rebounds as well. But Jack Payne scoring 14, that ties for second highest scoring game of the season. And Isaiah Brickner off the bench, the last 2 games for Idaho has been a bit of a revelation against WSU. Idaho with Christian Gonzalez as their sixth man. It really looked like that was going to be a great situation. And then Gonzalez gets hurt immediately. You can see him on screen in games right now. He still is using the scooter, and he's still got his foot in the booth. Season, it won't be for a while. But if Isaiah Brickner can average double figures like he has off the bench for the last couple games, that can essentially help replace a lot of what Idaho lost. So the rest of Idaho's schedule on the men's side between now and Christmas, our Christmas time, Wednesday, aka tomorrow, if you're listening live on December 9th, Idaho travels to a new member of the patreon.com/Tubs of the Club #OnlyTub Discord Dead Horse channel. Notre Dame is who Idaho's playing tomorrow at 4 on the ACC. Side note, let me be a grandpa. Fuck every single conference where you have to get a different package for their games. Just go to hell. But anyway, Idaho travels to Notre Dame on Wednesday. And then Sunday, they're hosting Evergreen State, sub D1, but that's in Moscow. That's the last time you can see Idaho between now and the start of conference play on January 3rd in Moscow. On the women's side, Martin, producing
They
in
are
public.
playing, I believe they are playing Cal tomorrow at 7 p.m., Utah State on Saturday in Logan. And then they have they've sort of like men, they are playing a sub D1 game against D2 Western Oregon on Saturday the 20th in Moscow.
So
That
on
is
the
their last game before conference play starts up in Cheney on the 3rd.
Yeah. So on the women's side, Dos Santos has a protocol to work through. She may be available for the Cal game tomorrow. If not, she should be available for sure on the Utah State game. But look, the women's team sits at 8-2 right now, which with 2 losses, as you talked about earlier, one to Oral Roberts, and then one on the road at UC Davis back in early November. 8-2 in the non-con with only one sub D1 game on the schedule so far for the women. That's a pretty goddamn good run. Like the men sit at 6-3, which I know that they have 2 sub D1 wins, but 6-3 for Idaho this far into the non-con are easily the best that the men's team has looked in a long time. So the women on paper look like they can compete with the top of the conference. And this team should be competing for a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament. If again, just based off what we've seen so far, the men, hard to know how far to round up what the men have done. Because for example, they just beat South Dakota State. South Dakota State beat Northern Arizona, but simultaneously, Idaho lost to San Diego. Idaho State beat San Diego. So it's a little bit harder to gauge Idaho, but I think it's the men's team. I think it's fair to pencil them in as this is a team they've got to finish above 500, and I think that they got to be competing for right around that 4 spot to call this a success at this point. But for a one bid league like the Big Sky is, men and women, what matters is conference play, and that's what happens on January 3rd.
Brian, you mentioned this is a team that doesn't necessarily have a star player, hasn't really had a star player since Isaac Jones left in the Zach Kloss bad era. Jackson Rasmussen is only 9 games into his career with the Vandals. What does his season look like towards the end of the year as he gets only more and more comfortable already being the leading scorer on the team?
That's a good question, because I think Rasmussen would benefit a ton from the guard play stabilizing. He's a inside outside threat. He's a competent 3 shooter, but Rasmussen also knows that he is not like his route to, let's say, making an all Big Sky team is not behind the 3-point line. He has, to me, he's not the biggest post Idaho has, but he's the most polished. He has the best footwork and, to me, the best touch. He also can put the ball on the floor and score. And again, he can catch and shoot open threes. He's not a guy who hunts for threes. He's been pretty opportunistic with the ones he takes, which is it's a good thing. I mean, Idaho We know that with Pribble, part of what he does offensively, he wants his teams to be aggressive from the 3-point line. So this team, Idaho men do not lack for guys willing to shoot from deep. And this isn't bitching. I'm not like an 8,000-year-old who's complaining that threes are shot. It's more what I care about is that the team is still being aggressive. You get threes in the process of being aggressive, whatever, that's what happens. So I guess the question for Rasmussen is, one, if he can get help from the guards, that's going to open up the paint a ton. But two, he is also pretty good at not forcing looks, as in Rasmussen is a pretty patient scorer. Now, he could just not change at all, and he would be an asset and maybe start on every single Big Sky team. If he takes a developmental step, to me, it would be maybe becoming a half step more aggressive. But at the same time, also like, hey, if he's a post, he needs guys to be able to get him the ball too. And the injury to Christian Gonzalez, I think it kind of screwed up what Idaho wanted to do out of the guard position for a minute. That's not to say Rasmussen's not getting post touches, but I would like him to get a few more post touches as well. Because I think at 6'7", as a guy who can put the ball on the floor, he is a matchup nightmare for a lot of the Big Sky. So the short way to answer your question is if he becomes more aggressive, I think that would be how we could look at is this guy going to make an all Big Sky team? He doesn't need to change as a true freshman, but he looks like the most steady player on this team as a true freshman. So I guess going from steady to being a guy Idaho looks to first is the developmental track I would look at for Rasmussen.
Thank you, Brian. That was extraordinarily more thought out than I was expecting. And for the casuals like myself who have checked more into hockey season than basketball season so far this year, thank you.
The veggies are fresh this year, Dallas. It'd be good to get some in your diet.
It sounds like I could use some veggies again after being poisoned for years with them.
Crewhead 76 saying, how long is Gonzalez out? A while, because he's still in a boot, dude. So that likely means absolutely no less than a month still. So and by the way, that's not an official update. That's from watching and seeing that he is clearly not dressed in the uniform, and he's in street clothes, non-weight bearing. So that means he's still a minute away.
Maybe like a conference play might be the earliest you get. Maybe if you were to put a guess, Brian.
That's about a month. So I am going to spend no time wondering if Gonzalez is going to play at least until Eastern. For listeners who are wondering why in God's name it's dead silent right now, Mark Trivialpiece in the comment section saying go Kraken, and Dallas giving a big thumbs down. Tom Kendall saying go Sharks. Brian saying, can you guys leave this for the Dead Horse channel? Which I got to bring this up. I did this. We don't like talk about ourselves for the show, but the Discord is pretty active all the time, especially active during game days. But in the off season, look, people are going to off season, right? There's certain shit that comes up all the time. And I just got sick of it last weekend and invented a Dead Horse channel so that anytime a topic like, I don't know, certain quarterback who used to wear a couple gloves comes up, we can just dead horse it and have it go there, so you can ignore the shit out of it if you want. And of course, what did it devolve into? Dallas immediately became people talk about like literally cooking dead horse, which is a way of saying if you are not part of the patreon.com/Tubs of Club #OnlyTubs Discord, you are missing out. Costs less than a cup of coffee a month. Dallas, anything you want to hit on before we call it a night? Other than muting yourself, like it needed to happen at least once.
Balls. Yes, I wanted to just quickly, for anybody that doesn't follow the FCS too closely, North Dakota's Taint lost in the second round, upset 29-28 to Illinois' Taint. And what that means, guys, is the path has been cleared for Montana State and Montana, the two highest remaining seeds, because Montana also got past South Dakota State, which we really were hoping with a healthy quarterback that was going to maybe not go the Grizz way, but down to 8 teams remaining in the FCS playoffs. the Titans of North Dakota State and South Dakota State are now gone. And UC Davis, Montana's Taint, and Montana all have a great chance to bring a title back to the Big Sky.
Yeah, which, Martin reminded me, aka told me quit being an idiot. We have to pick the Big Sky games.
So let's circle that back around. We are obviously producing in public here, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna hit this off of the specified time frames because I don't want to have to go through and figure out which game is better. So first up, coming to us on Friday, Montana State at Stephen F. Austin. That's number 2 and number 7.
I'm gonna go Montana State wins this, and I think Montana State wins this one pretty easy.
There's a little more drama to this game in my mind than meets the eye, or if you've been following the Big Sky for a few years, there's still a little Big Sky drama here. Quarterback Sam Vidlak for Stephen F. Austin famously was quarterback at Montana the season that Montana lost to South Dakota State in the national championship, but got like fucking murdered. Vidlak started the start of the season for Montana, was terrible, transfers to Stephen F. Austin, and is immediately like a Walter Payton nominee. So there's a little bit of an old Montana on Montana State, blood there. The other being Montana State did not beat the hell out of Yale the way everyone anticipated. I don't know what to take out of that other than to say, like, good teams do have shitty games once in a while. Montana State has killed virtually every single team they have played this year. Like, their only close Big Sky game was Montana, who's the number 3 seed. And Montana State still like acquitted themselves just fine. I don't know if you just say like Yale is actually like slightly better than you might guess. They had that gigantic comeback against Youngstown State. So maybe Yale is just a little bit tougher. The nerds at least know what they're doing on the field, even if they're not the most athletic. But I'm definitely going to pick Montana State. Montana State has also been able to avoid, even with, guys like Jimmy Rogers leaving Washington State and the inevitability of Brent Vegan being brought up as a coach to replace Jimmy Rogers after Vegan was already brought up as a coach to potentially go to Oregon State. That just doesn't really seem to phase the Bobcats that much. And it's just abundantly clear Vegan's not going to leave mid-playoff run. So picking Montana State.
Yeah, when you get to the playoffs, I mean, it matters that you get the win, right? Doesn't matter if you beat them by 8 or 80, as long as you get the win. And I am not going to pick against Montana's Taint until they lose. Looking at the way that this bracket is shaped out, if you are Ron Lowney in our comment section, you're looking at this as this might be your best chance to ever win the national title. Obviously, you got the Grizz potentially coming up in the very next game, but man, if you're looking at this Stephen F. Austin game, you're thinking the other side of that bracket just opened up for us. This might be the chance. Okay, sorry. Moving on. The next day, 2:00 Pacific time, Illinois Taint versus UC Davis.
I'm gonna go Illinois State. Just they keep the momentum going and have another upset on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go Illinois State too. I feel that UC Davis is at the level Idaho was a couple seasons ago, where the quarterfinal was the Super Bowl. And if Davis wins a quarterfinal, like, they're probably going to get murdered in the next round. Caden Pinnock still looked pretty goddamn good. He absolutely lit the world on fire in Davis's round 2 win. But Illinois State picking up, I guess the concern that you have is whether on the Illinois State end is whether you're now riding a little bit too high off of the big win. But Illinois State has been good the entire season. They're good. They were one of the top teams in the best or second best conference, depending on how you look. I think you can safely call the Missouri Valley the best conference this year, with only 3 Big Sky teams making it in. They were very good in conference too. So I'm going to go Illinois State. I just think that the defensive injuries are going to catch up to Davis at some point. And I feel that with only good teams left, if that hasn't caught up to you yet, it's just going to.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Illinois' taint here. This is a really weird team, guys. They get killed by Oklahoma, which expected. SEC school in the college football playoff, you expect to get killed in your first game. Then they barely slipped past Northern Alabama at home. Then they lose. They get doubled up by North Dakota State the first time they play them. Then they lose to Youngstown State in a close one. Then they rattle off a bunch of wins before they get killed by 30 points on senior day and come into the playoffs more flat than any other team possibly could have. And then they killed Sela, and then again just knocked off the number one team in the country that I think everyone thought this is going to be over. North Dakota State is going to do it. Now, obviously, injuries happened, and when your quarterback goes down, it does make things a little more difficult. But man, I think Brian, you're spot on. I don't think UC Davis is in that trajectory of being a semifinal or championship contending team. I think this is hey, we made it here. Imagine how far we could have gone if we hadn't got our best player injured on a worthless running back snap. Oh, and here we are to the final Big Sky game. Number 11, South Dakota against Montana at 12:30 Pacific on Saturday.
I'm just gonna go and state the obvious here and go with South Dakota's gonna win.
South Dakota is on a roll. They sit at 10-4 on the year, and South Dakota has not lost a game since losing to Illinois State back in, I don't know, like week 8. Back in October is the last time South Dakota lost a game. And in that run, that includes wins over playoff North Dakota, playoff South Dakota State. Did Southern Illinois make the playoffs?
No, they did not. They were like first out, essentially.
Okay. So in their 5-game winning streak for South Dakota, that's North Dakota playoffs, South Dakota playoffs, Southern Illinois just missed the playoffs, first round over Drake, which barely counts, but still playoffs, and then just murdered Mercer 47-0 last week. So this is a goddamn hot team with some quality wins on the resume. But at the same time, Montana just picked up a pretty convincing win at home over South Dakota State. And offensively, the Grizz are good, man. They're just good. They can beat you through the air. They can beat you on the ground. They can beat you with trickery. So I think this is going to be a tight game. Montana also has a way of sometimes making games tighter than they need to. You know, for a team with one loss, the Grizz have a few more tighter games, or at least some tighter first halves, let's say, than you might expect for the number 3 seed with one loss on the year. But I'm gonna go with Montana. I just feel that semifinal Cat Grizz rematch just feels destined this year. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I'm gonna pick it. So I'm picking the Grizz.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. Again, all power to South Dakota for the hot streak they've been on. Congrats on killing Drake, and congrats on mutilating Mercer. I guess going 8-0 in the SoCon doesn't actually mean anything, like most people not affiliated with the SoCon would probably tell you. I cannot pick against Montana in this game. Ron Lowney in the comment section pointing out South Dakota is 3-11 all-time in Missoula, while the Dakota schools are 6-33 all-time in Missoula. If this game was in not Brookings, Vermilion, there we go. Couldn't remember the name of it. If this game was in Vermilion, then yeah, maybe I'd be picking South Dakota with the Grizz on the road. But as much as I hate to say it, man, Brian, you hit it on the head. This just feels like the Brawl of the Wild is slated for that semifinal matchup, with the winner realistically probably winning the national title a couple weeks after that. Just feels like everything is pointed to next weekend being Montana State versus Montana. Unfortunately, I think that's what we're going to see. Maybe Tarleton is able to pull it off and win the title outright, but man, when you look at this bracket, it sure does feel like that Montana State-Montana matchup is looming large.
I do want to say line of fire 95. When you're the number 3 seed, you get to play a ton of home games. So that's I know you're referencing the out of conference from Montana too, but the Grizz earned being able to host through the quarterfinals. Would love Idaho to get to that point, but that Brawl of the Wild would be in Bozeman if it's happening in the playoffs. That's a 2 seed. And that's the result of that de facto Big Sky Championship last week of the season when Montana State gave the Grizz their only loss. So, yeah, dude, we'll probably be back next week. I mean, I think our basic schedule, Dallas, is we will take a break around Christmas. If we have no football news, there'll probably just be a shorter episode with basketball update plus a few recruits. But expect whenever there is an OC officially announced, which I'm saying that I expect that's taking place definitely before Christmas, you're going to hear us talk about it, and you're going to hear us nerd out on whoever Thomas Ford selects to lead the offense. So, keep your eyes posted. We'll let you know when things happen. But until then, you guys are all, I think we're all ready to sign out. So until next time, unless Martin has a deep dive he wants to go into.
What about a deep throat he
no.
wants to get into?
Okay,
no.
That's pretty fucking average.
I don't got it too deep. I want to read right now.
It's time for us to mutually depart from the episode, guys. Until next week, go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
This is producer Brian doing a terrible job of even finding what we're going to play us out with. So we're just going to call it good. See you guys Tuesday.
Go Vandals.